Hi kids, it's time for art class. I am Miss Roz and I'll be your PACE teaching artist today. How's everyone feeling? I sure hope happy. Whenever I get a chance to do art, it always makes me happy. Today is going to be a two-part lesson. This will be part one in making a bird's habitat. A habitat shows everything an animal needs to survive. In today's lesson, we'll be thinking about some different patterns we see in nature and think about how these artists show these textures. We will talk about some color theory and color a piece of paper that will end up looking so cool. We will use this paper next week and make our bird habitat with the bird and a nest next time. This will be a science arts integration lesson. The supplies you will need for today is just a white sheet of paper and your crayons. Next time you will need this paper plus a construction sheet of paper for your background, some colors, scissors, and glue. But that's for next time. First, let's look at some famous paintings by an artist named John Audubon. This is a wild hare, which is another word for rabbit. Look how the artist made this. Is it a painting or does it look like a pencil drawing? It's made by drawing. Look how realistic the artist made the rabbit look. What would you say the texture of the rabbit's fur is? Texture is how something feels. Yes, its fur looks very soft. How did Audubon make the rabbit look so soft? By drawing all those lines for his fur. He must have made 1,000 dashed lines to draw each hair. And look at all the shades of gray and black you see. So artists have to use lines, shapes, and colors to show texture. Notice the darkness in his claws. How would they feel? Yes, super sharp. Now let's look at this osprey bird and a fish. What kind of texture is on the outside of a bird? It's not fur. It's feathers. Notice the lines and shapes the artist used to show feathers. Lots of curves and lines. And look at the fish he caught. The fish doesn't have fur or feathers. It has, you guessed it, scales. Artists have to think of the patterns and the textures of animals whenever they draw or paint them. In today's lesson, we're going to be thinking of certain animals and think of the patterns we notice in their outsides and draw them. So get your paper and your crayons ready. These are some examples of things I've collected over the years about animals. This is a real rabbit's fur. After the animal was hunted, the fur was kept for different uses. There are many different things people used fur. Besides coats, they can make blankets. The Native Americans made clothing. This is the underside of it. I wish you could feel this. It is so soft. Do you see some lines in here and some shapes? Animals have textures, how something feels, and artists have to make them look like they feel a certain way. I see many different shades of brown, tan, creams, and whites. And I see all these little hairs. So all these shades make it look as if the animal has texture. This is a wild rabbit's fur. This is a feather that I once found on the ground. Have you ever found a feather before? They have quills on the sides of them. They have a very strong rib down the center of them. Birds have many, many feathers on their bodies, completely covering them. Kind of makes them like they're waterproof. Artists have to show feathers by drawing curved lines, maybe straight lines, maybe dash lines on the side. There are many different ways animals can show a bird's texture. This is an animal, a snake skin that I found on the ground once. These are two different snakes that I found. This one was a very skinny snake. You can see its long body. This one is getting kind of old and torn. Do you know why the snakes left their skin behind in the yard? They're molting, so when a snake wants to grow larger, it slithers out of its snake skin and then grows a new one. Look closely. Do you see all these shapes on here? It's very thin. I see many different shapes in here. Later, we're going to be drawing some of these textures. There's scales. It looks similar to a fish. Maybe you'll be lucky enough and you can find a snake skin on the ground one day. I like to collect different things and save them. I also have this turtle shell. Isn't this cool? Turtles have many different patterns on their shells. I can see shapes in the center. I can even see shapes going all the way around the oval. I wish you could really touch this. It's very hard and strong. There are many different colors for turtle shells. Some have browns and gold colors, yellows. I've even seen some green ones, even some black shells on their turtles. This turtle once died, and then once its body, the soft part of his body, like his head and his arms and legs, rotted away, their shells are left behind. Look at all these shapes you see. I see some rectangles, some circles, different colors. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to think about what kind of shapes do you think of when you think of turtles. Or maybe you've seen an alligator back and all their bumps on their back. They're both reptiles, turtles and alligators. So we're going to be thinking about how, as an artist, when you draw animals, you can show what they look like a little more realistically by using lines and shapes. Let's get your paper ready to draw. Write your name small at the top. I have my paper like a landscape like this. Once you write your name at the top, turn it over to the clean side. Great. You have all your colors in front of you? Today we're going to draw with any color you want. I'm drawing my lines with black so you can see them. The first thing I want you to do is draw one horizontal line right across the middle. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but as straight as you can get it. Great. One horizontal line. Now we're going to make two vertical lines. One about right here and one about right here. How many vertical lines did I make? 2. Let's count our spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. Do you have 6? If you have more than 6, that's okay. You can leave those extra places blank or you can fill them in. In today's lesson, there is no right or wrong answer. I'm going to tell you to think of some animals, and you're going to think of what's on the outside of those animals. You are not going to draw the animals, just the patterns, lines, and shapes that you think of. We'll do the first couple ones together. You can use any color you want. It does not have to be realistic. This is art. If you want a pink tiger stripes, well, you can draw pink tiger stripes. Try to use many different colors so it will be colorful. Let's start with square number 1. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but it doesn't matter what order you go in. I want you to close your eyes. The first animal I want you to think of is a tiger, or maybe a zebra. What's the first thing that you think of that comes to your mind? What do these animals have in common? Fur. They both have fur. They are mammals. And they both have what? Stripes. So choose the color you want. And let's fill up square one with stripes. They can be long zebra stripes if you want, or they can be short tiger stripes. Any way you want. Do you see how I'm filling up the whole square? I'm not drawing a tiger, I'm just drawing what I'm thinking of when I see that. If you want to use one color, you can, or you can use many different colors. Just fill up space square one with stripes, the ones that you have in your mind. I'll give you a few minutes to fill up the entire space. If I go too fast, at the end of the lesson you can go back and finish filling it in. You do not need to color it yet. Just draw the patterns and we will color it together later. Space 2. The animals I want you to think of are cheetahs and giraffes. What do they both have in common? Yes, spots. Giraffes have these triangle looking spots. You can do them in any color you want. Cheetahs have these little small spots like this. So choose a color and let's fill up 2 with spots. Any color you want. Giraffes and cheetahs. Are you filling it up with many colorful spots? Some of mine are large, some of them are medium, and some are small. I wonder why animals have spots and stripes. Can anyone guess? They help camouflage them in the grasses where they live from predators. Ready for space 3? Now let's think of snake skin. This is some real snake skin that I've found. Do you know how I found it? Yes, when snakes want to grow larger, they shed their skin. So when I look at snake skin, I see lots of shapes, like ovals and diamonds. Space 3, I want you to think of snake skin. Or how about fish? What do fish have on the outside of them? Scales. How do artists show scales? You may want to show like circles like this together. Some people like to show scales like this. However you think would be a good way to show scales, I want you to fill up space 3 with scales. They're pretty slimy, right? Yuck. This is a picture of a snake and a fish, and they both have scales. So far, we have 3 squares filled in. Do you have 3 squares filled in? We are halfway done. Space 4, I want you to think of birds. What kind of lines and shapes could we draw to show feathers? How many of you have ever found a feather before and seen it up close? This is a line we once used when we made an owl. Do you remember this line? Curve, curve, curve. When we were drawing that owl's chest. So this is a way you could show feathers. When I look at a feather, I kind of see ovals. This might be another way you could show feathers. Ovals with lines like this, really close together. How can you show a feathered animal on the outside? Fill up space 4 with feathers, however you would like to. Now it's time for space 5. Alligators and turtles. Let's think about what we see with these guys. Alligators are kind of scary, and they have all those bumps all over. And look at the shapes you see on the turtle's shell. These are both reptiles. They can live on water and in land. So in space 5, what kind of patterns and shapes do these animals make you think of? This is a turtle shell that I found once. The turtle died and left his shell behind for us to see. I can see many shapes on his back. So for space 5, make sure you're using colors that you haven't used before. When I think of a turtle shell, I think of all those squares or sometimes triangles that I see on a turtle's back. Sometimes alligators have those little ridges and bumps on their back. So this is a line or a shape you might think of when you think of alligators. What kind of line or shape are you thinking of? Fill up space 5 with turtles and alligator patterns. We're on our last space. Look at these precious kittens and bunnies. They look so soft and fluffy. How can artists show soft fur when they are drawing cats and rabbits? If you look closely, you can see a zigzag edge that shows their fur, or tiny dashes for each hair. So in space 6, use a color you haven't used before, and let's fill up space 6 with furry mammals. I use zigzag and dash. When I think of those cute little bunnies, I think of pink little bunnies. And this kind of looks like they're hairy. Or you could be like other artists and show them by using dash lines to show hairs. Fill up the whole space. These are 2 different ways to show hair. Like this furry rabbit fur right here. Great. All my spaces are filled up. If you have extra spaces to fill, you can think of your favorite animal's textures, or you could just leave the spaces blank. Either way, we're going to have a really cool pattern paper to work with next time. If you need more time to finish filling up your 6 spots, now would be a good time to push pause and join us back to color in the rest. Let's look at our paper and see if we can remember all the animals we were thinking of when we made this. Point to your cheetah square. Where's your snake skin? How about your turtles? Which square shows feathers? Which one looks like a tiger or a zebra? How about cute bunnies and cute kittens? Can you tell which one that one is? Now we're getting ready to color our paper. In art, there are colors that we call warm colors and the cool colors. Do you have these colors in your color bag? Let's take out those that you think are the warm colors. Warm like the sun. What colors would that be? Right, red, orange, and yellow. Now, which one do you think are the cool colors? Blue, purple, and green. We're going to use these 6 colors to fill in each square. Okay, it's time to color in. You have out your 3 warm colors, red, orange, and yellow. Do you know which ones are the cool colors? Blue, green, and purple. So how many colors do we have out? 6. 3 plus 3. And we have 6 squares. So the first 3 I want you to color are the warm colors. You can color them any squares you want. Color one red, one orange, one yellow. And then we'll move on to coloring with the cool colors, blue, green, and purple. I'll play some piano music while we color. I'm coloring lightly to fill in so I can still see my squares underneath. I try not to leave too many white spaces. You see I'm moving my hand back and forth. Take your time and make sure you color the whole square. Some kids who color quickly color like this. Is that going to be filling in enough? No. So stay keeping your lines close together. You might notice some of the colors mixing together. Who knows what color yellow and red make? Yellow and red are both primary. That means they can be mixed to make another color. I'm looking closely, and when I press hard with my yellow over the red, I can kind of see the color they make. Can you see it? Yellow and red make orange. If you need to turn your paper a certain way to color, you can do that. If you have colors with no paper on them, you can turn them on their sides and shade. Have you ever done that before? Shading is fun. I'm filling in the edges to make sure my whole paper is colored. There's all my warm colors. And I'm going to move on to my cool colors. Cool colors are cool like water is cool. Grass is cool. Purple, I don't know. Makes me think of the movie Frozen. Didn't Elsa wear those colors in her dress? Blues and purples. I think it would be funny to see a tiger with green and purple stripes, don't you? But that's the fun thing about art. You don't have to color things the way they really are all the time. Artists get to make choices, and you can choose the colors you want sometimes. I have one cool color left. Purple. How about my snake skin? I wonder if there really are any purple snakes in real life, huh? There might be. There's so many species of snakes. Some are poisonous, some are not. Some are beneficial for our nature. Who knows what snakes like to eat? Mice. They like to eat mice. I want you to keep coloring until all your squares are finished. And when you have finished coloring all 6 squares, you are done for today. This is the paper that you're going to keep until next time. And on the next time, we're going to be drawing some shapes on the back, and we're going to be collaging to make a bird, a nest. So look closely at birds over the week while we're apart. Notice the parts of the bird: the beak, the head, the wings. We're going to have to draw all of those shapes. And their tails are very beneficial, even their legs and feet. Maybe you can find a bird's nest to look at it closely so you can get ready for our science project next time. I love thinking of all the animals there are in the world, don't you? It's fun to go to zoos and get to see a lot of different animals, and maybe this year you can go on a zoo field trip and see some of the patterns and textures we have been talking about. Is everyone finished coloring? Hold them up so everyone can see each other's papers. It's amazing to think of all the patterns we can observe in nature. Today made us think of how artists draw and paint animals so well. So next time you are drawing an animal, I want you to show the textures and the patterns they have using lines and shapes. Please keep this paper in a special place until next time when we use it to make our bird in our nest. Your teacher might want to pick them up and put them in a stack. Make sure your names are on the back. Join me back here next week so we can continue our bird habitat lesson.